Just suddenly couldn't remember. I even turned it on. Okay. So now you look, you say, okay, everybody's got the exact same bottom, so I can multiply by it and cancel it out. So now what am I left with?
X plus 1.
X plus 1.
Plus 2x.
Plus 2x times, you distribute, right? So 2x times x?
2x squared.
2x times 1?
2x.
Let me stop there for a second.
Okay.
Well, everybody? I'm taking the 2x and distributing it to the x plus 1. I got to distribute so I can put things together. Equals
1.
Again, what? So on this side, of course, I get 2x squared
plus 3x
plus 3x
plus 1
plus 1
equal 1.
So now do you subtract 1?
Totally, because you need it to be equal to 0. People forget that and they forget to give me answers. I need answers. I need to know what x is. And this also freaks people out. But you won't be freaked out. You just take it out of x. It's a GCF. That's the first thing you always try.
So it's going to be 2x plus 3
equals 0.
So then either
X equals 0.
x equals 0, that was nice. Or,
2x plus 3 equals 0. X,
and then you can solve it.
X equals 3 over 2.
Negative 3 over 2. Subtract the 3, divide by 2, you can solve it.
That's what I was getting.
And now, the very last thing you do, make sure everybody was with me on the answers so far. Once you get the possible answers, they're possible answers because does either one of them freak this guy out? Yes. Which one freaks this guy out?
0.
Yeah, if x is 0, then the bottom of this would be 0, so... Negative 3 over 2, yeah, that's it. That's all it could be.
Alright.
Yes?
So all we just did, you would apply to the problem number 1 on the problem?
Yes.
Number 6, together.
Oh, okay, sure. So let's take a look at number 6. Let me just put it up here real quick. Well, you know, sort of real quick. Still got room in there, so put more stuff in here. Passive aggressive, Jeff. Here, while that thing is warming up, I'm actually going to go ahead and give you the practice finals.
Wow.
We're taking that next Wednesday?
I don't remember.
Next Tuesday?
I put the date and the time on your homework sheet and syllabus, so I would not have to remember because I knew I would not.
Final exam Tuesday, May 24th, 7:15 to 9:15 a.m.
There you go.
All finals the same day.
It's May 24th. Come on, next Tuesday, yeah.
When is it?
7:15. Not 7:25.
Chapter test?
Tomorrow. What do you mean? The next test is tomorrow. Thursday will be review day for the final. I'll have the test graded. So you'll still be able to make corrections on this next test. It's just going to be due on the day of the final. Okay. Oh, sorry.
That's the one.
Nathan, can you do me a favor? Can you, the one that says whiteboard? Is that right?
That works.
Alright. So number 6 here. This is some of the more recent stuff before we did chapter 10 stuff. Is this a function?
Yes,
Yes.
Why?
because
Passes the line.
If it goes 20.
it doesn't
It
touch the
passes
line
the line
twice.
test.
It does pass the VLT, right? The VLT, the pass, yes. Passes vertical line test. Don't say passes the line test, because there actually is a horizontal line test you'll learn next semester that does its own thing. So you got to be specific. Vertical line test. How does that relate to the definition of function? What is the definition of function?
Where the x and y value are not the same. They're not the same.
That's a kind of like a offshoot of it. But what's the actual definition for every
Input.
there can only be one output. For every x, there can only be one y. Right? For any highlighter fans, it's easier to remember. If you don't know highlighter, you don't have to go watch it to know what I'm talking about. So if I draw a vertical line and I went through twice, that would mean that x, whatever that x is, would have more than one output. That's why if it goes through twice, that's why the vertical line test exists. It's the visualization of the definition of function. Holy shit. It's like a politician. Visualization of the definition of
That means a
function.
lot of shuns.
Yes. So, what are the domain and range? What am I looking at for the domain?
X.
X-axis. So the little dude walking, what's the first time he sees it?
-7.
No, -8. He sees it there.
Oh, shit.
Now again, it doesn't have to, he's walking, he's looking left and right. He's looking, oh, I see it. Or another way to say it is, which is the first lowest x value that has an output? -8 has an output. So it goes from -8, what am I going to put on -8?
-4.
No, 4. And now, what's the last input that has an output?
3, 4,
4. 4 has an output. So that's the domain. What's the range? Same thing on the y-axis. What's the first output that I see? -7. Right, as I move along, the first output I see is -7. And what's the last output I see? 2. Because beyond that, there's nothing left and right.
Why wouldn't it be -4 instead of
Where are we looking? Which one?
range?
Well, because there are outputs that are lower than that.
Oh, it just
The
goes
range is it's got to be. If you say -4 to 2, then you've left out all these poor dudes. You want it to be from the lowest output that I see to the highest output that I see. I like it. Don't just say because it doesn't start there as far as the y-axis is concerned. It starts here when I'm looking at it from the y-axis, right? So that's the first thing the y-axis sees, and that's the last thing the y-axis sees. Don't say, well, it starts there. No, the x-axis, it starts there. What is that for the -6? Yeah, why?
What's the point?
Because f of x is xy.
All right, so
As far as the answer.
I got you. Since it goes through the point -6, 2, then the output in -6 must be 2, right? That's why they would put the point there. So they've already done all the work. I don't even know what the function is, and I don't care. I'm happy because they've already done the work. They plotted all the answers, so I can just go see the answer. So what x value makes the function have a -7 output? When does it have a -7 output?
1.
1.
1.
Yeah, 1
Yeah.
makes the output
Negative
-7. So because it goes to the point 1, -7, x equals 1 makes the output -7. Because this goes to the point 2, -6, 2, then f of -6 must have been 2. That's why they put the point there. Yes, sir.
So
it's
f of -6 will always be more or less the f of x. The f of x.
Yeah, so that so then in that part C, in the part C question, what's x? -6. So all I'm asking you is, that's why I like what you said earlier. If the x is -6, comma what? 2.
So f of x is y.
Yes, there you go. F of x is y. So that's really just asking you for the y piece of the point. And then part D is the other way around. It says, all right, if the y piece is -7, what has to go here to make that true? 1. because it goes to the point 1, negative 7. So what is f of 4?
0.
0, because it goes to the point 4, 0. So f of 4 must be 0. So what would I put in here so that the answer is 2? Negative 6, because for x equal negative 6, it has an output of 2.
Yeah.
So really these questions here are just asking you to complete the point. And why is that easy? Because they give you all the points. You guys see that? It's kind of a weird thing. It's got to click a little bit, these questions here, but it's f of negative 6 must be 2, because that's where they put the point. That's why they would have put the point there if the output was 2. Okay. Which one?
Any of those.
Let's look at B. What am I going to do for part B?
You're gonna substitute.
It's just substitute.
Substitute to where?
H should be X of
To
A.
H. Why H? Because it says H.
Equal.
So H of 2 would be 2 times
2 squared.
2 squared minus 7. Now you just got to remember your order operations. I hate it when people do that step perfect, and then they say 4 squared is 16. What the hell's that shit? What do you do first?
Oh, dang it.
Squared.
2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 7 is
1.
1. So what point?
2, 1. Not 1, 2.
No, you're fine. Don't change it. 2, 1. When the x is 2, the y is 1. So I know a point that h would go through. If I graphed h, it would go through the point 2, 1.
What about C?
C is almost too easy. If f of x is square root of 3x minus 5, f of a is square root of 3a minus 5. F of w would be square root of 3w minus 5.
At the end, you don't have to you don't have to divide it by the 2. And
Where's
that
the divided by 2? Where am I looking?
where it's H function of 2 or whatever. Yeah, like so.
Is this h times 2?
No.
Hell no. This is h of 2. You can't break them up because it's one symbol. This symbol means what's the h function evaluated at 2. So if you divide it by 2, you're making something that makes no sense. Or a little h by itself doesn't mean anything. It's got to be of something.
Same quiz. This one. We had the quiz. It's same.
Yes. But again, math,
Can you do the...
you got to realize that just because I give you a different problem, it's not a different thing.
Let's do C, please.
You just pour it in.
Okay, I just do that. As a,
What's up?
Just 3A. That's it?
Just like
Oh, okay.
No. So this is a different problem, and then all these first problems are just substitution. You just got to plug it into the right place. Part F says, what's the domain of G? Well, what can happen? What can not happen in G?
4. I mean, 0.
What can't happen in G?
Look at it.
Tell me in English.
X not 4.
The bottom?
0.
The bottom can't be 0. So then X can't be negative 4.
I knew it was a 4. Negative 4.
Yeah, what's the big deal, Jeff? Yeah, boss, we're okay. Actually, it's negative profit. Oh, well, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Can we do one for number 2?
All right, let me do this.
Okay.
Have you guys... Oscar, let me give you the answer key.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've already done this. Why would I want to do this again?
We need to review.
Vertical line test. Yeah.
حبيبي يلا قوي نعم يبقى
Thanks.
welcome quiz
Far finding is the same to X point, domain or range that
I'm sorry? Which one are you looking at?
You can't tell before.
vertical line test. What is that?
Oh,
You too?
on this here? Nathan? Oh, you got it?
It's I
That's why I was like, well, let me get something that I know out of the way. 7 was hard.
I think 7
I
is
feel
the
like-
most hard section of the
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I probably would have done it.
Well, that's true. But do you understand what it said? If you can't factor, you definitely couldn't do any of it.
Well, yeah.
Everything is about factoring in this section.
There's so many steps.
Can I get
Every step has one question.
So it's also an exercise in organization of your work, yeah. In chapter 7, if you don't know how to factor, you can't do it. And if you're not organized in your work, you're going to hate yourself. You just got to keep track of who's alive and all that kind of business, right?
I didn't find the factoring part hard. It was just like, I get to a certain spot.
The Algebra Rescue Team. Art. Yes.
Input and output. Which one is domain?
Domain is input. So domain is normally considered,
And
range is,
for all 4 in the alphabet, is range,
and Y and output.
Y are all later on.
He does, I think.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. You have staples? Yeah. Thank you. All right. Thank you. On the final? So the final can be a little bit longer than a normal test because the final we're going to have 2 hours. But it's not going to be, it's going to be maybe 5 more questions than normal. So a normal test is around 20 total questions or 20 something. So the final is going to be 25 or 26 questions. And I'm counting A, B, C. Because I hate it when teachers say there's 5 questions and they're all A through J. You're like, that's not 5 questions. Yeah.
So, if the input have more than one output, it doesn't make it possible. It just means it's not a straight line or it's not a linear equation.
It's not a function.
It's not a function.
If an input has more than one output, mathematically it's still valid. It's still, there are things that works for, but we just don't call it a function. We don't call it a function. We don't. It's not given that special name.
I have one convenient little domain or range.
Yeah, there's too many ways it can go. We want a function to mean it can't come back on itself. So that's what we know a function means.
For the, the square
We
root.
have 2 functions.
What?
There's many outputs. There's many inputs that have more than one output. There could be more than one function for different outputs.
Yeah, you can have a function going on itself all the time. It's neat. In fact, if you get far enough in math, you see the equations behind spirograph kind of. You ever played with spirograph? Those gears inside the government? You get these shapes, and you can see the equation behind it, and it's always crossing itself millions of times. And you're like, holy shit. So yeah, a function, function can't do that. But once you allow it to turn back on itself, it can just go like spaghetti.
So for the square root when the negative's inside, it's not real,
Not real.
undetermined, right?
Not real.
Not real.
Not real. Yes. 1C.
No, but I mean the answer. The answer.
Oh, what's nice about this one? 1C on the test, on the practice test. Where'd it go? 2 of us. What's the shortcut on this?
To make the denominators the
Okay,
That's the long cut.
That's the long cut. But the shortcut comes from that. So what does this guy need?
Minus 5 or
X by, no.
Neither one of them has a minus 5.
No.
Neither one.
So,
This guy has an x. This guy has an x minus 5.
2
So this
by,
guy needs an x.
oh,
And this guy needs.
X minus 5.
And then you can cancel the bottoms, right? Because you can multiply by this. But look at the shortcut that we just developed. Didn't it look like that x just came up there? This is cross multiplication. And then it looked like that x minus 5 just came up there.
Yeah.
It's just a shortcut of what would happen if you did it the normal way. It's just a shortcut. That's all cross multiplication is. And this is the only place it works. Fraction equals fraction. That's the only time you can do it. Once students learn it, they do it every damn where. But it's the only place it makes sense because it's a shortcut to how to solve an equation. So you get 3x equals,
2x minus 10.
yeah, and then you subtract 2x, you're done.
So,
Yes, 7 6.
in this situation, can I make, I can't tell you in English, 2 by x minus 5 equals 3 by x?
So here's applying the shortcut.
Yeah,
3 times x
Yes.
equals
yeah,
2 times x minus 5.
Yeah.
That's the shortcut. That's the shortcut. Shortcuts are always just math, realizing the same thing's always going to happen when I do it the long way, so let's just do the thing that's going to happen anyway. That's all a shortcut is. So do you have to know the shortcut? No. You just do what we just did. In fact, I just decided to show you this. The shortcut sucks sometimes. And I'll show you.
if it's 3,
You'll see. Just do this because that's in your brain, Jim.
Yeah, no, you have to find.
Well, now look. Somebody would say, well, I can just multiply. But that's actually too much. You end up with x squares and shit. You don't need that, to be honest. Watch. If you did factor it, this would be...
X negative 4. X negative 4. X negative 4.
So what's he need?
Negative 3.
He just needs an x minus 3. He doesn't need this whole damn thing. So that's when the shortcut is bad. It actually makes the work harder. So you should get 4 equals 3x minus 9. Now, if you did the shortcut, you would get 4 times x minus 4, bam, equals 3 times, holy shit, x squared minus 7x plus 12. Distribute, bring that over, factor, holy crap, you just made that problem so hard. When all this guy needed was that one little thing, bam.
yeah.
So the shortcuts very often they have problems in specific places where the longer way would be better. Because the shortcut overlooks some things. It overlooks some little details. And there's an important detail it overlooks.
With the small things, not like this.
Yeah.
Simple.
When the bottoms are not factorable,
Yeah.
you can cross multiply without even thinking. But when the bottom something is factorable, you want to take a second. Well, maybe it's easier. Maybe I don't need this whole damn thing to come up. Right here, that's a good example. I didn't need the whole thing to come up. I only needed what this guy was missing. Okay. So some teachers only teach shortcuts and they kill me. They drive me insane. Get out of this profession. But because then I get your students and they get angry at me. Yes. H, which one?
3.
I got this guy. Don't 3 H. Oh, the cube root thing. Okay. Let me build up to that real quick. I'm going to put a series of problems that are barely require thought.
So that's 2x minus 7, right?
Hold on, we're going to get there. This one definitely doesn't require any thought. All right, what's this?
Oh, yeah. Just slice
So-
it in half. 2x to the 4.
X squared. Because you break 8 up into 4 parts, right? What's this one?
X.
X. I like it. Right? So then the cube root of something cubed will be that something. That's the idea. And what was this, 2x minus 7?
2x minus 7.
Because these cancel each other. That's really what happens. Another way to look at this, every 4 x's you would take one out. Well, how many groups of 4 do you see? 2. So that's why I end up with x times x squared. That's that shortcut. 4 goes into 8.
Twice.
3 goes into 3.
Once.
So what's the 5th root of 7x squared minus 4x plus 11 to the 100th power?
20. Same bottom.
7x squared minus 4x plus 11 to the 20th. Because 5 goes into 120 times.
We stop it.
Yeah. Good Lord. Don't write that 20 times and then start multiplying. Good point. Don't do that.
Just to make sure.
I wouldn't give you that on the test anyway, just because you might freak out. But, I mean, the idea doesn't care. I could put 18 billion there, and I just divide 5 and 18 billion and write that number out on top of this thing. Ooh. Because the idea is you cut whatever this is into 5 parts. So that's why 5 into the power makes sense. That's what's going to happen if you cut it into 5 parts. So I can put whatever power I want to there and just divide by 5. But I'm not going to do weird numbers. But still, it's that idea doesn't care what's in there.
What about G? 405. 4 squared.
Which
G, 3G.
3G. Oh, okay. So this one, I wouldn't bother you too much if you just started breaking that out. Because 4th roots, I mean, this might be a good one just to break out. Because what can I do the 4th root of? 1 to the 4th is 1. That's never good. 2 to the 4th is
16.
16. 3 to the 4th is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 9 times 9.
81.
81. So 81, 4th root of 81 is 3. Because it takes 4 3s to make 81.
Yeah.
Does 81 go into 405? Yeah, it does. But you might not see that. So this might be a good candidate to just start.
With 5.
So 5 goes into it.
20? No.
5 goes into 40.
41.
5 goes into 40. 8. 5 goes into 5. 1. So hey, look. Yeah. If you start breaking 81 down, you get 9 times 9. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. What do I see 4 of?
3.
And what do I see 1 of?
3 and 5.
Portal of 5 gets left behind because there's not enough of him. 4th root looking for groups of 4 things. I'm sorry. I gave you the answer to your IS.
Yes.
Maybe like the negative signs, like this.
Well, if I try to take the square root of a negative number anywhere, what's the answer?
Not real.
Not real. No matter what the hell's going on otherwise.
Even like this.
Even if it's
Signs
outside.
So if I have the negative square root of negative 16,
Not real.
That's not
it's not real. Can I take that negative inside? Hell, of course not. Of course not. Right? It's the same problem I have with people when I have this and somebody tells me that it's 6 cubed. What did they do wrong? Yeah, you have to do exponents first. And where are roots in the order operations? The same level as exponents. So would I multiply by negative 1 first, or would I do the square root first? I do the square root first. Can I do the square root?
No.
Done. Not real. I don't want to say no answers. I mean, because it's not really. I want to get you ready for the next level because you will have answers for this in Math 103 or 110, whatever you take. There are answers to this, and they are completely valid answers. We just don't know these numbers yet. We're going to learn these numbers in the next. And that's really weird. I'm sure you guys are like, there are numbers I don't know. Some of you guys know these numbers I'm talking about.
Imaginary complex.
Yeah, complex numbers. I like. That's better and better than imaginary. It's unfortunate that name stuck. So yeah, this. Some of you guys might not even know what this would look like. Anybody know what's the square root of negative 16? 4. 4i.
4i.
Yeah, you'll learn it next class.
So you mentioned something about 110 or 103. What's the difference between them?
Oh, we had the big discussion, didn't we? 110 gets you to more almost anywhere you want to go. 103 only gets you into 120 or 160. Or I think elementary ed math, whatever. So you just need transfer level math, you can take 103. If there's any chance you need more than that, then you have to take 110. Because these poor students that take 103 and then later they're like, oh, my major needs this. Well, guess what? You got to go take 110 also.
Yeah, again.
Too bad. Yeah, that sucks, but oh well. So you got to be careful.
So better
I
110.
need 280.
What's that?
I need 284.
Oh, then you definitely want 110. Yeah. 284 is a neat class. I love it. I would.
So how many classes between?
7.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 classes between. The 5th class you take would be that one.
Just pretty much 2 years.
2 years. 2 years.
Just take a math class.
Are you teaching like that?
Over the summer.